Hey there guys, and welcome back to the channel. As always, it's a pleasure to have you guys join me as we dive into more 28 years later content here on the channel. So we've got lots of interesting information to get into regarding the movie. We're going to be taking a look at the most up-to-date box office figures and see how much money this movie has made so far. We're going to take a look at the Rotten Tomatoes critic and audience score and see where that's currently sitting. And also we're going to have a look at Aaron Taylor-Johnson's filmography and see how this compares to his other movies when it comes to the domestic box office. So this article comes to us from Screen Rant, by the way. 28 years later, box office milestone overtakes Christopher Nolan's movie in Aaron Taylor-Johnson's highest grossing chart, which we will take a look at in just a sec. So if we go over here to the numbers, at the moment, domestic box office was 60 million, international box office 65 million, and the worldwide box office for 28 years later is currently sitting at 125 million. So for this movie to break even, it needs to hit that 150 million mark. I'm not sure that it's going to be able to. I mean, we've got massive juggernaut movies coming out now. We've got Jurassic World, which has just debuted, so a lot of people are going to be seeing that. We've got Superman coming out in a matter of days, so a lot of people are going to be seeing that. And I think the interest in this movie has waned quite heavily, and I'm not sure it can get to that 150 million mark that it needs to break even. But whether Sony are going to be happy with this figure, I mean, it's the highest grossing movie in the 28 franchise, so I think they're going to be happy from that perspective. But the fact that it hasn't made a profit yet, they may be a little bit disappointed. So there is a silver lining that it's the highest grossing in the franchise, but like I say, at the same time, it hasn't hit the break-even point. So if we go down here, production budget was 60 million on this movie, and the worldwide box office sits at 2.1 times the production budget. For those of you who may not know, the general rule of thumb is that a movie needs to make 2.5 times its production budget in order to be in that profitable zone. And currently it's at 2.1, which is 125. Can it make up the difference with that extra 25 million before it ends its box office run? I'm not confident that it can. I think it will end somewhere around 130, 135 maybe. But let's cross our fingers that it gets there, but I don't think it will. But yeah, so that's the up-to-date box office. So let's go over to Rotten Tomatoes. The movie is currently sat at 88%, which again is absolutely mind-blowing. That's crazy. So overwhelming. For every 10 people, every 10 critics that reviewed this movie, nearly 9 of them out of 10 enjoyed this film. So that's just phenomenal. That's from 327 reviews, 88%. And then the popcorn meter, which is the audience score, verified ratings, people who actually saw the movie, 63%. So pretty much for every 10 people who saw it, 6 people enjoyed it out of 10. So again, that's pretty good. It could have been better with the audience score, but 88% critic and 63% audience, I think that's pretty good across the board. Then if we go over and take a look at Aaron Taylor-Johnson's filmography, in order, when it comes to box office revenue, 28 years later is currently sat at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's his 7th highest grossing domestic movie, sitting at 60 million, just behind Shanghai Nights. It has to make literally what, an extra 236,000? Yeah, I think that's right. 236,000 it needs to get above Shanghai Nights. Will it be able to do it? I'm not sure that it can, but to pass Shanghai Nights would be pretty good. That movie is so old now, by the way. But yeah, so that's where it sat on Aaron Taylor-Johnson's filmography. So let's get back over and start getting into this article. So 28 years later has reached a box office milestone, overtaking Christopher Nolan project and one of the highest grossing movies in Aaron Taylor-Johnson's filmography. The horror drama, directed by Danny Boyle, continues the 28 Days Later franchise, following a young boy who abandons his isolated community on a dangerous endeavor, discovering the mainland and rage-infected humans. So, along with Aaron Taylor-Johnson, the 28 Years Later cast includes Alfie Williams, Jodie Comer, and Ralph Fiennes. According to Deadline, 28 Years Later is projected to hit 60 million domestically in its third weekend, dropping 56% and generating 4.3 million for the 3 days. Thus, the horror film will now surpass Taylor-Johnson's Tenet, which completed its theatrical release at 58.5 million domestically. So yeah, I mean, it's crazy to think that this movie has made more money domestically than a Christopher Nolan movie. I mean, how insane is that? That's crazy. So, what overtaking Tenet means for 28 years later. Okay, so surpassing Tenet domestically suggests that 28 years later has benefited from its more preferable release date. Directed by Oscar winner Christopher Nolan, the former sci-fi thriller features a compelling story and an excellent ensemble cast, including Taylor Johnson, John David Washington, Robert Pattinson, and more. Yeah, I think Tenet is probably one of the... Tenet, however you say it, is one of the only Christopher Nolan films that I really didn't like. It was so weird. Like, time was going backwards. The really in-depth, inside baseball kind of sci-fi concepts were just lost on a lot of people. And I think that's why it ended up not doing so well at the box office compared to the other Christopher Nolan films. So, however, Tenet opened amid the COVID-19 pandemic. Yeah, that's a major contributing factor as well. I completely forgot about that, the pandemic. The theatre going had decreased. The overall box office managed to pass 365 million, but Tenet is still considered one of Nolan's most disappointing recent releases. In contrast, 28 Years Later is part of a popular genre series, and it will be interesting to see where its box office eventually ends. Like I said, I think if I had to guess, around the 130, 135. I don't think it's going to get much higher than that. But whether Sony will be pleased with it or not, that remains to be seen. So, upon premiering, the movie earned around 30 million, which marked a high for the 28 Days Later franchise. It has also surpassed 100 million globally, already achieving a larger total than another Taylor Johnson film, Kraven the Hunter, which was absolutely disastrous. That film should never have been made. Released by Sony in 2024, and should continue to have a strong theatrical run. So, our take on 28 Years Later box office, how much further can it go? I mean, that's the ultimate question, isn't it? Where is it going to land? Will people continue to go out and support it? The commercial success of 28 Years Later is a win for Taylor Johnson, following his other horror hit Nosferatu, which was really, really good. Guys, if you haven't seen Nosferatu, really check out that film. I thought it was beautifully made. Aaron Taylor Johnson is fantastic in it, and it's a really great film, so do check it out if you haven't seen it. In which he portrays Friedrich Harding. The zombie movie should also overtake Shanghai Nights. It's technically not a zombie movie, but I know people use that as a colloquial term, if you like, so I'll forgive them for the mistake there. Overtake Shanghai Nights soon, moving even further ahead on Taylor Johnson's highest grossing chart. So yeah, going back to that chart again, I mean, the 7th on his all-time chart. That's pretty impressive for a little kind of movie like 28 Years Later, considering the other movies that it's up against, and the production budget is lower than a lot of those other movies as well. Okay, so going back to the article here. However, as more summer blockbusters are released, the 28 Years Later box office will likely continue slowing down. I mean, absolutely, there's no way this movie is going to be able to compete with Superman, with Fantastic Four, with Jurassic World. I mean, these movies are absolute juggernauts, and everyone's going to be seeing those. And I don't think a lot of people will be going to see this movie, unfortunately, as of this point forward. Well, I should say, not as of this point forward, as of the point when Superman debuts in a few days' time. So, tracking the box office will remain important, especially because reactions have largely been split between critics and audiences, as evidenced by the 88 tomato meter score and the 63 popcorn meter score on Rotten Tomatoes. So yeah, there is a slight divide there between the critics and the audience. I mean, the fan base were really heavily divided, on this movie, especially the ending scene as well. Taylor Johnson is returning in 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, premiering on January 16th, 2026, and the numbers are worth keeping an eye on because of how they will set up the sequel for success or failure, and determining how 28 Years Later factors into the lead actor's legacy. But not only that, it will factor into whether we get the third movie in the franchise, which hasn't yet been, not the third movie in the overall franchise, but the third movie in the trilogy, that's what I meant. It will determine whether that gets greenlit or not. Could you imagine if we get these two movies and it ends on a cliffhanger and then we don't get the third movie? That would be absolutely heartbreaking for fans of this franchise. But yeah, guys, there we go. So the movie is currently sitting at 125, needs to make 150 to break even. Can it do it? Can it get there? It may get there slowly, but I'm not optimistic. I think it's going to end at 135, maybe 140 if we're lucky, but I don't think it's going to get much higher than that. 88% tomato score, and number 7 on the domestic all-time chart for Aaron Taylor Johnson's films. So, some pretty interesting information there to break down. Guys, what do you make of this? Has this movie made more money than you thought it would? Is it not made as much money as you hoped it would? What are your thoughts, comments, and opinions on kind of this information here? And do you think ultimately it can reach that 150 million mark? Am I just being pessimistic? Or do you think it could actually get there? Whatever your thoughts are on the rest of the franchise, and if you have any other questions as well, just jump down in the comment section and leave your thoughts there as always. Cannot wait to get into a discussion with you guys, as always, in the comment section. I love talking to you guys. You always have lots of interesting points to bring up. Thanks so much for being here. Make sure you hit the like button before you leave. Consider becoming a subscriber to support the content on the channel. I would really appreciate that. And hit that notification bell to stay up to date with more 28 years later content and movie content we have going on the channel. And with that down, as always, I will see you in the next video.